Hi everyone, this is Deanna, the Organized Miss, and I'm coming to you from my living room. I'm going to start my GTD series because it's the end of January, the beginning of February, and I'm starting my monthly review and preview, so I thought I would just turn the camera on and bring you along. That's kind of how I plan to do this whole system, is just walk you through how I do it. I don't think the way I do it is the right way. It's just the way that works for me and how I have implemented the GTD methodology into my system. And I'm hoping that if you see something that you might want to try, then you'll try it. And if it works, feel free to keep it and use it free of charge. And if it doesn't, maybe try something and feel free to share it with me, because I don't have all the good ideas in the world. So thank you for joining me. And sort of the concept for this series was inspired by Mo Howard at 5/16. She's done a lot of free videos that really helped me when I was first beginning my planning journey, to help me get my memories back and my cognitive functions and ability to kind of think linearly again. So I was just so grateful, I still am, for all her free content on working with software on the computer and Cricut videos, and so many, but those are some of my favorites. And so I just wanted to get back and do these free videos for you. And I have a giveaway. So I announced it in the previous video that I'll be giving away a copy of the GTD book. And so really all you have to do is like, subscribe, share, and I'll just pick one person at the end of this series who's been engaged to win the copy. And who knows, maybe I'll add to that as we go, as I've already been thinking of things that I could include and make it a whole productivity bundle. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and I'm now going to flip the camera around. I want to apologize in advance. Some of my previous videos, there's a little shaking because this is attached to an arm to my table. I have added some things to kind of help with hopefully that shaking. Okay, not too bad, because I'll be writing and that kind of thing, but doing my best, trying to get the lighting better. Also, disclaimer, I use a pencil a lot of the time, and I know that doesn't always show up, but I really like writing in pencil and erasing if I don't like it. So I'll just be using a basic number 2 pencil. I feel like a real influencer here. It's not fancy. It's a pencil. I do have some pens, but I'll try to write so that you can see what I'm writing, because I do think that that's helpful, not just showing you what tools I'm using, although that's helpful, like the pen, the paper, planners, but specifically how I use it to get things done, because that's the whole point, right? To do the things that bring us joy so that we can do more of the things that bring us joy. Having said that, sometimes the back end is doing things that doesn't always bring us so much joy, right? But creating a fun routine can make it more joyful. At least it does for me. So I want to show you, this is the copy of the GTD book that I'm giving away. I'm just going to put it over here. And I'll be referencing my well-loved dog-eared copy throughout the series, because I've underlined it, I've posted notes and index cards and tabs, the sections that I really come back to frequently. And I think it's good to kind of do a review once a year. Just my system is not set in stone, and I don't think that there is one final way to do it. Obviously, we get into a routine that works best for us, but I can always improve my system. So by going through and refreshing it each year, I can see how I've changed, how my system needs to change, or maybe something I've learned from one of you. I also have this workbook that I picked up, I don't know, a long time ago. As you can see, it is not well loved because I just go through the book. Essentially, this book is a compiled, a composite, condensed version of this, but essentially what I've tabbed out of here, this section, what I always reference, the main highlights, is what they have put into this book. So I think this is a great resource, especially if maybe the whole book is overwhelming. I know when I was first getting my memories back, reading was really hard. Like processing and understanding all this, it did take me a while the first time I read it. And some people just aren't word people, they're picture people. So this, not that it's exactly a picture book, but it kind of is. It really takes you through step by step of the GTD basics to not feel overwhelming. So I do think that I would recommend this book. I think I'll use it. I'm not going to write in it. I'm not going to post it. But like I said, I've already been thinking of things to include. So this is going to go with that book, but I will be referencing it. I'll be gentle with it. And if for some reason I scribble it up, then I'll just buy another one to go to the kit, because I think it would be helpful. So this will be part of the giveaway. Yeah, so this is the condensed version of that. So I'm going to have these nearby to reference. So I'm getting ready to set up for February. It's the end of January, so what that means is I need to review January, process all of my things that are maybe open loops or determine if I finished it, review the project, see where I am in that, and decide things like next actions and what I need to do next. So that's what I'm going to do here today. And I've got kind of the things that I need, that I use. Post-its. Always have Post-its. In fact, I have lots more Post-its off the wing, different size, because that's what works for me. Sometimes I use a notebook when I feel like I want to just write things out. So I keep a notebook back here and I'll list it. But then and it's just a throwaway notebook. Literally, I think I got it at the Goodwill for $1 so many years ago. It was just, it was just something someone donated, and I just throw it away. So I'll list out my thoughts or scribble out my thoughts here, and then what helps me is then I'll do one item to a Post-it note if it's something that I need to be able to move around. Either put it back on a waiting on list, move it to a project list if I think of something to add to my project list as far as next actions, or sometimes it's just something I want to keep top of mind and I'll put it on my weekly, or I'll move it over to my everyday carry or something. So I have this system works for me, but I'm just saying, if you want to try it, you'll see how I use it. And again, different sizes for different things, little flags, Post-its, larger ones. So I'll have these available, just kind of sitting around everywhere. And another thing that I think I'm going to include, and I think maybe I'll just make this a download. I drafted out, let's say, I didn't copy, but essentially I took his GTD workflow and I made it something that I could understand and share with you. Workflows were always something that was difficult for me to process, even before I lost my memories and struggled with logic. And so this was something, it took me a while to really understand in the book. Now I understand it, so I try to make it a little easier. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to start with stuff, the very top of the workflow. And what is stuff? And stuff is anything you put into an inbox. And just to make this easy, or at some point when you're building your planner system or whatever you want to use, what I think is helpful is that each of these things that I've drawn a box around be sections in your planner or your organizational system of any kind. And in a planner, it might look like a tab section. It might look like a list. If you're thinking of stuff in your house, this box section could be a filing cabinet with folders in it. It could be your dresser. I mean, stuff could be clothes, and you could have one section of clothes, the top drawer, right? Undergarments. Second dresser, shirts. Third dresser, pants. Like, you can adapt this basic system for anything in your life. I know that's a broad statement, but it really is true. And I think maybe sometimes we get a little hung up on, oh, this is the way I got to do this because this is how everyone else does it. No, you can do it however you want. So stuff, today I'll be referring to my paper stuff, the things that I'm wrangling around my desk. So I have my laptop here. I have a little like cubby thing where I stand up some files that I'm accessing currently more often. So I want them, you know, right here within arm's reach. I have a filing cabinet and places where I file things, but just right here. So, and in here, I also have things like my scissors. I do keep the Post-it notes there when I don't have them out, and extra pens and pencils. And then right there in front of it, I also have this little, this is a planner bag that I can toss in I can zip it up. And it's just got all kinds of little tchotchkes that I use when I'm planning or junk journaling or something. So I just set that there. I can zip it, throw it in my bag and go, or I can leave it here. And then the last thing I did pull out was just a card book, because people still hand out business cards. And I still keep them. And I know a lot of people scan them and put them on the computer. I'm a tactile person. And so a lot of times the way I recall things in my memory is things that I have created an impression with in my mind. So that is tactile. So in order to go through the filing cabinet in my mind, I use my senses. And so if it's something I've touched, recall is easier. If it's something I typed, it's the second easier way to do it. I can do it, but it's not as quick as something like this. Anyway, so I know I have some business cards to file away. So that is what I have right here. And then I have my planner. So we're going to start with stuff. And what I do during the month, maybe other people do it differently, but the stuff that comes in, either daily or weekly basis, if it's something I can decide immediately, I usually do. And that tends to be stuff that when I say, what is it? Is it something I need to take action on? And if immediately I can say no, because it goes in the trash. See, I do it right away for the most part. And then I don't have to worry about it building clutter. Now, sometimes I'm just walking, picked up the mail, and I'm on to do something else, and it will sit here. And I don't process it because I say, you know, I'm going to process it at the end of the week. What I do with that stuff is put it back here. So it starts to fill up, but I have a little catch-all folder at the back, and it starts before, you know, it starts to pile up. And I will just place those things in here that I know I need to do something with. And so it's easier for me to batch process. So things like receipts from my car last week that got fixed. It's got to go in my file system with all my receipts for my tax purposes. So I will sit right now, and I will decide, is it something that needs to go in that folder? This is my W-9, W-2, something I just got in the mail from one of my clients this last week. It was just a couple days ago. I haven't even opened it because I know it also goes in that for my taxes. I haven't gotten all of mine in yet, so I'm just catching them. These are gift cards that a friend gave me, so I want to use them, which means I need to have them on hand. So I'm going to open them up, and we'll just do it while we're talking. Like, I'm going to open them up and put them in my planner. So it'll be with me when I go into town, and I'm like, oh, I want to go shopping at Best Buy and use those, or Bath and Body Works, and use those cards. So, and literally, that is how I process the stuff. I determine, I should have taken all the glue off. That's all right. I determine where it goes, and I put it there. My grandmother had a saying, there's a place for everything and everything has its place. And when I was younger, I used to think, wah, wah, wah. I hear you, Grandma. Her house was always nice and neat and orderly, and she knew where to find things because she processed. Now, by the time I was learning this from her, she'd had a lifetime of things. She processed things immediately. She was not I'll do it next week. Unless it was her checkbook. She, what's that, when you balance everything out to the penny? Once a month when she got her statement. But she was always entering it and keeping an update for herself. She processed that once a month. She processed any like payments or income from the farm and investments once a month. But everything else, mail, to-dos, she just did them right then. But that's where she was at in her life. So I found that very helpful to process immediately. But the reality is we can't all do that. And that's why we have Inbox for our stuff. So as I sit here and process things, this is now trash. I don't need to keep it unless for some random reason I thought, oh, I want to put this in my junk journal because it'll remind me of the Christmas gift or whatever I got whenever, my birthday present, whatever. I'm not going to do that. So what I do is I start a pile right on my floor. I just drop it there so that when I stand up, I'll pick it up and go throw out my trash. But that way, I'm not, like, you know, going back and forth. I can do them. This little guide I got from a talk, a guest speaker. I like it. I'm going to refer to it. I'm going to go ahead. And for now, I do want to put it maybe in my junk journal. But because it's a planner style thing, I like it. I'm going to not put it there. I want to see it. I think it's a good thing to have on hand. So it's going to go there. These are thank you card blanks to use. So I like to have them on hand. Sometimes I keep them in a planner nearby. Right now, I'm going to set them right in the front little cubby of that. These are notes. And so I'm going to decide where this needs to go. So as you can see, it's not something I would put in my Hobonichi Everyday Carry. They are just basic notes from a conversation that I'm still sort of referring to. So it's based on a project. So I would think, where am I keeping this project? Well, to be honest with you, it's on the computer. This is the only non-digital content from this stuff that I was working on from a conversation with the person. So these files that I have over here, one of them is a to process, basically. Not a to process, in process. So I'll put them in my in processing spot. And then I have things like mail, which I'm going to go through. So I'm not going to go through all this here with you. I'm going to do a couple as an example. This looks like from my area Chamber of Commerce. Which would make this trash. And this is a copy of something they sent me in an email for, which is what I was thinking. I don't need to keep it. It's going to go in the trash. You're going to find a lot of stuff is going to end up in the trash when I actually process it. Okay, this is when my daughter and I went up to Miss America. And then so we went to New York, and then we went into Connecticut, Mystic. And we stayed at an Airbnb. And this is the actual Airbnb. How cute. And they had this little welcome, thank you gift card waiting for us when we showed up. It was so sweet. Colonial American style. It was just fantastic. I want to go back to this very specific place. But in the meantime, this is going to go in my junk journal memory keeping. So over there, I have a planner cart. And on my planner card are my planner things. This little bag, when I'm not using it, I want to set it over there. My planners, my stickers, my glue, scissors, tape, junk journal things, like all of that. And so obviously I don't always every day sit down and work in my junk journal. That's more of a self-care day, memory keeping day. And so this goes on that in a little container with things that I want to journal about. So that's where this will go. And then sometimes I have Post-it notes here. So this was a conversation with my grandmother. We were talking about my great-grandmother, when she was born, when she got married, when my grandmother was born, when my great-grandmother died. So I'm the family genealogist, and my grandmother's 98 years old. So she's going through her things, has been for some time. And she found some wedding lace that was my great-grandmother's that she wants to send me to do use in a project. So we'll probably go in a journal. So I wanted to keep these notes to remind me that this is coming, and I will actually enter this in my Ancestry database. So back to, this is the first time that we get to go to this list. Stuff, in this case, stuff is a Post-it note. This is the inbox. That's where all my stuff went. Now when I'm processing it, is it actionable? I just decided, yes, I want to enter this information in my Ancestry database. Confirm that it's there. So I said yes. So now I decide, does it require multi-steps? So more than one thing. If yes, then that means it's a project and I need to plan it. It's part of a bigger project in that I already have a project plans, so to speak, on my Ancestry, which is what this would be, project plans. So, but as far as a planner section or a folder, where would this go? So, if I don't have a planner section for that, I need to make one. Currently, what I use for my Ancestry planning is its own binder, because it's a lot of stuff and I have a lot of family members, and it's not a planner that I can carry around with me all the time. So this information, the stuff that I want to keep physical copies of, goes with that. I also have folders with things like, birth certificate, wedding certificates, that kind of physical items that I want to keep that either are not in a folder, a planner binder, or I have a photocopy of it, but I want to keep the originals. So I have a system that I have in place that this just needs to be added to. However, if my grandmother just called me out of the blue with this information and I wasn't already documenting it, I would need to create a project plan and system for that. And that is something that I would say, yes, it has multi-steps. If I know what the next action is, I would decide, can I do it in 2 minutes? No. I need to go but what I can do is add this to my project plan stuff so that when I'm working on that project specifically, that's there. So something that's really helped me from going down a lot of rabbit holes, I still do. But what helps me is batching things together and then processing like items at the same time. So right now, these are a lot of different things, but they're all stuff in an inbox. And then I outsource them, so to speak, in their specific respective categories. And then when I'm working on said project in a block of time, I have the resources and the information and things all together to work on just that. And that's helpful because I'm focusing. So this is going there. And now something that I could do is I could either decide that I want to work on that this week, in which case I would put that on my list of things to do. I know that I'm not going to do that right now. So it's now in its place. So I'm going to continue to do that for each of these items. I'm going to decide where it goes in my system. Receipts. I've saved these receipts. They will get put in with my other financial things. So as you can see, I've got a little pile going, and that's normally what I do. I will group them together so that I'm not going back and forth. If I have a one-off like that, I don't have any other ancestry, genealogy things that I want to process right now. I'll do that. But otherwise, I will take all these financial paperworks or receipts and put them together in my folder. So once I have done going through each of these items and what needs to be done with them, I'll come back. Maybe I'll just keep this running and I'll fast forward. So this is an application for a U.S. passport that I need to fill out. I'm not going to do that right now. So if I'm not going to do that right now, because it's not going to take me less than 2 minutes, I need to either delegate it to someone else to do, which no one else can do, or I need to defer it, which is what I'm going to do now. So I need to decide, am I going to put it on my calendar and make an appointment with myself to fill it out? Or if I don't make a date with myself to fill it out, say Wednesday, then I want to put it on my next actions list of things to do when I have some time, but it isn't day specific. So for that, that's what I do my post-it notes for. So I will put one next action item on a post-it note just during my process time. So I will say passport application. And now each of these post-it notes with an action item goes right there. And for me, when I'm all done with this and I get to my next action page or list of things, when I'm migrating tasks or adding tasks, these will get added to that. So now my folder is empty except for this because I want to have it accessible nearby. And what I can do is I can say, ooh, is this my project folder? Do I need a folder to capture more things associated with this passport application? Well, currently I do not. In my mind, I know that I'm going to have to do things like go get photos and that kind of thing. But for now, I do not. If I had multiple things that I needed together, this would set right up here, and this would become the project folder, and I could label it passport. Then I would just get a new blank folder to be my inbox for the next week or month, however long until I process next. I like to process at least once a month, but sometimes I'll do it with my weekly review as well because it helps me stay on top of it. So in the meantime, it just sits right back here. And now I have a list that I can start making in my processing, which takes us, in my opinion, to the book. So David Allen's Art of Stress-Free Productivity, Getting Things Done, has I think it's 6 major steps. And the first one is capture. Whatever that looks like to you, how you capture all your things. And like I just showed you, when I get things, they come in, I either decide right away to throw them away, or I put them in this folder for processing at my end of week, end of month, depending, pile. You have to have some place to corral all the things. So I'll give you an example that's non-paper. A laundry basket is a capture device. It's going to be the place that's going to capture all your dirty clothes until you're ready to process it, i.e. clean it, take it to the dry cleaners, the laundry, whatever. And so you want to have a place that holds everything so that you don't have clothes on the back of the chair, on the floor, all over the place, right? So the idea of corralling all your paperwork is that I could take my clothes that are on the back of the chair, which aren't, but I'm just using that as an example. If I didn't want to go and take all my clothes and put them into the hamper right now, I could make myself a Post-it note. And I could say, you know, gather laundry, right? And for me, gather is the verb, laundry is the noun, and I know put in laundry hamper, right? So I could make this note for myself, and I could put it in my folder or with my things to do. And from there, it could go on to my next actions list, and I could do that the day that I wanted to gather my laundry or clean my house or whatever that is. This method is to help you really clear your mind of all the chaos and the clutter and all the things swirling around, and give you a system for getting it out of your brain onto paper. And instead of having to recall and remember and fight through all the noise of all the daily activities, you have a list and you just refer to the list and you can do what's on the list. And then you're getting your things done, as opposed to reacting to all the noise and everybody's pull at things they want you to do. You have a system and you can determine when you want to do that. So primarily, I'm going to be focusing on paper things with this getting things done. But when I have a chance and I can give examples for things like laundry, you could see how this could extend to any area of your life. The thing you do is decide what is the stuff. Is it a piece of paper? Is it laundry? Is it email? You know, the inbox could be anything, digital, physical. And then you determine what is it? What action needs to be taken on it? And if there's no action, I always start with, can it go in the trash? Can I eliminate some of the noise, some of the clutter? And the next thing, which because there's a box around it, it could be a section in your planner or your system. It could be in a file folder somewhere, is a someday maybe. So this is something you're not going to do anything on right now, but someday maybe you might want to. It could be something as simple as, I want to research about my city history. That's not priority right now maybe, but it's something I'm interested in. I want to do it someday maybe. It could be, I want to go to Hawaii. I'm not going this week or even this month, or maybe even this year. Someday maybe. I'm going to put it on the list. So it can be a small thing, it can be a big thing. It's anything you kind of think of, and it just goes on a list. Kind of like a vision board, but a list. And that list can either be in your planner, in a reference binder. That list could be a digital file on your computer, in the cloud. It could be in a file folder. It could be any way that you want to keep it, and then be able to access it at a later time when you're ready to review. Hey, what's in my someday maybe file that I'd like to do this week or this month, or I want to start planning for? Then you can go back and reference it. And then the other non-actionable thing would be that reference folder. So someday maybe list will have everything that you maybe someday maybe think of that you'd like to maybe do. You don't have to have the plans, you don't need to have it fleshed out, but you want to at least identify what that is, and it would go here. Your reference would be anything that you're collecting to refer back to for anything, whether it's a someday maybe and you got a brochure for a very cool place to visit in New England, but visiting New England is on your someday maybe list, so the brochure needs to go somewhere in a folder of things. And how you organize that and catalog it is up to you. You could have a digital file, on your computer a folder of websites that I'd like to visit to learn more about my trip to New England. You could have a folder in a filing cabinet under travel that says places I'd like to go and things to do. It could be it could be a bookshelf with books, right? Reference is not a small category, but it's whatever you want it to be. If it's a recipe that you'd like to cook, right? You have recipe cards, or you have Pinterest. You know, reference is whatever you'd like it to be. So if it's not actionable and it's something that you need to place somewhere to get it off of your desk, your mind, your clutter, but you'll know where to go find it for later, you need to put it there. So if it's trash, it goes in the bin. Someday maybe it goes on your list. And if it's a reference, it goes in your reference file. And that is the first, what I'd say, the first thing I like to identify as my stuff. What is it and what's the action? And I like to identify all the non-actionables first because they're easy to process for me because there's no action done except for put it in its place. So thank you for joining me with this series, and I look forward to sharing more as I think of something that might be good and helpful for you. I will be sure to turn the camera on as I go through my process. Again, thank you and have a good day.